What's up, guys? So I have a quick video. Just wanted to share something that's been on my mind lately. I've been having a lot of conversations about this with friends, and just thought I'd share. This idea is living for God, and what that means. You know, if you're watching this, maybe you believe in God, maybe you're religious. If you are, I would recommend that you go watch a video by Jordan Peterson that just came out called something along the lines of how dare you say that you believe in God, or something like that. I don't know, it's one of his most recent videos. Just look up Jordan Peterson, believe in God. Maybe you're agnostic. Maybe you don't know what's going on, and you're just pretty open to everything. Maybe you're atheist. Maybe you hate God, whatever that means. I just thought I'd share this idea. Maybe you can relate. So, this idea of living for God, what that means. So, each of us, you watching this video, me making this video, all these people around me, we were all granted being. We are all granted a life. And we get to choose what we do with this life. We get to choose what we spend our time on. We get to choose how we interact with people. We get to choose what we eat, if we train, if we read, if we sleep, if we watch Netflix, if we listen to music. We choose, right? In the Bible it says man was granted free will, and with free will comes the choice of living virtuously or not virtuously. I read a book called My Way of Life. It's a summary of the Summa Theologica by St. Thomas Aquinas. It is one of the top books I've ever read, the best religious book I've read, better than the Bible. I know you're not supposed to say that, but it got through to me more, I guess. Not that I finished the Bible. The Bible is very powerful, but this is just different. And in this, it articulates how to use free will and how man is in control of his happiness, and through virtue and discipline and, you know, temperance and fortitude and all of these things, you develop the ability to maintain happiness and success and all of these things. And it kind of outlines how you do so living for God. And the decision to live for God is something that was my original driving force with Know the Road. You know, the creation of Know the Road was the decision to make something to empower people to be great. And if you're trying to be great at something, you're living for God. You're striving to reach your highest potential. And the highest potential, you could say, is God. Because what is, you know, delete the idea of a man in the sky with a beard that is, you know, floating and created the world. Delete that idea. What is God, basically? God is the optimal... God is the optimal idea of being. It's the highest level of good that you can imagine, or perfection that you can imagine. And that is articulated or illustrated through Jesus Christ in the Bible. And Jesus is the ideal human being. It's the guy that got everything right. And so whenever you live to do something greatly, whether you're trying to be great at your diets, whether you're trying to be great at your job, whether you're trying to be great at your relationships, you're trying to live at the highest level in that category. Jesus was the one that did everything perfect. And whenever you're doing more and more things perfect, then you're striving towards Jesus and you're striving towards God. You're living for God. And so basically what that means is to try and reach for the highest level of being possible. And one decision that comes with that is risk, because that means that you have to have the faith and belief in yourself that you know what it means to believe in God. Duncan, come here. Come on. No, don't scratch the door right now. I'm in it. And so with that, the ability to take risk is very necessary. When I was starting to know the road, I don't want to frame everything around me, but I'm just trying to give examples. When I was starting to know the road, I took the risk of, I think I know what to do that will help empower people. I think, and the first method was clothing. Right now it's Collective, which is a platform on the website trying to bring people together and help give them tools of, to help optimize being, basically. But at first it was illustration, it was art, it was creativity, it was, getting people to help me, it was collaboration, it was awesome. That's what it was. But a lot of it was also, it was going to watch the sunset, it was meditating, it was reading spiritual books, it was having conversations, it was laughing, it was being sober. When I started Know the Road, I was sober from January to April. Not a drink, not a smoke, nothing. And then I did the same thing last year, at the beginning of the year, for 4 months. And I tell you, man, there's something to being sober. Sober is magic, and I've said that many times. It's really magic, and I'll go into that in a different video. Maybe I'll make this right after. But I was living for God. I was constantly, my world revolved around higher being, taking advantage of my time, reading good books, not wasting my time with bad music or stupid YouTube videos or pointless conversations, or just, whatever people do to trick themselves into wasting time and not going after it. I just had a reminder on my phone go off right now. Are you being efficient or just busy? Right now I'm being efficient. I'll answer that. Let me take that off. But this idea of living for God, it was illustrated in church on Sunday. They told the story of the lady who Jesus was at his Last Supper, and he was sitting there, and he was about to, be put on the cross the next day, and this lady broke an expensive glass ball of perfume and put it on his head, and people ridiculed her for wasting such an expensive perfume on this man. And Jesus goes, "Don't criticize her, for she has done something good for me." And they said, "But we could have sold it and given the money to the poor." That's a year's earning. That's, $80,000, $100,000 of perfume. We could have sold that and given it to the poor instead. What are you saying, Jesus? And he goes, "Do not scold her, for she has done something good for me. The poor you will always have, but me you will not. What she has done for me will be remembered for all of time." And this idea, how the preacher articulated it was, when you go after living for God, you break something valuable, you break your whole belief system, you take a risk, you go after it. And with that will come the ridicule of people. They'll be like, "What are you doing, you fool? You're not going to make any money doing that. How are you going to be happy doing that? How are you going to pay the bills? How are you going to have a BMW? How are you going to be able to go on trips?" Not that anyone goes on trips anyways, because they work every week of the year. But, you're going to face criticism at first. But at the same time, you will be granted the empowerment of God. You will be granted the empowerment of meaning and purpose and living for something more than just normal, than just safe, than just cool, than just whatever. You have more, you have meaning. And with that, with the power of God, comes the ability to be remembered for all of time. all these people you look up to that fuel you, the music you listen to, the actors you look up to, the intellectuals, maybe it's a professor, maybe it's your dad, maybe it's someone, they will be remembered forever by someone. They changed lives. They changed lives. There have been a handful of people on the internet that I've never met that have changed my life. And they did so because they took the risk of pursuing something that aims at the highest good. And they took the risk of living for God. And that is something that I'm going to try and wear on my sleeve going forward. That I'm going to live for God. I have a week and a half left here in Oregon, then I'm moving back to Texas. I'm going to school. I'm going to knock out school, try and get something that will help me make people's lives better along with my own. And at the same time, I want to pursue creative arts. I want to start making clothing for Know the Road again. I want Collective to be a success. I want my fitness to be really well. I want to help people change their lives for the better, but I also want to fulfill my own creative outlets or whatever it may be. But going forward, I'm going to choose to live for God. You know, I have a week and a half here. I'm going to have some fun. I'm going to chill out on the work. I've been working like crazy. I haven't even really seen my roommates. I'm going to chill out on the work after this. I'm going to go dark for a week and a half. And then I'm going to go to Colombia, spend time with my family. And after that, it's time for God. And even in this next 3 weeks, it's going to be time for God. But it's not, I'm not going to put anything out. I'm not going to share. I'm just going to be. And I invite you, or I challenge you to do the same. Live for God. Go for it. If you need help, if you want books to read, if you want videos to watch, if you're feeling down, if you need someone to talk to, reach out. I'll put my email down below. And then also knowtheroadco.com. That's the place to go. So, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. But yeah, later guys.